In this lecture, we're going to learn about using enum. And this is a feature we have in C++20 to simplify how we work with enum classes. Let's look at an example here. Here we have our enum type. It is what we have done in the last lecture, nothing new here. And here we have set up a simple function which is going to be transforming from our month type to a printable string. If you look here, the input is a month. And the output is going to be a string view because this is going to be the return value from this function here. And we are using string view because we don't want to be copying these string literals that we are returning here. If you go inside, you're going to see that we are switching over this month type. We can do that because month is really an integer under the hood. And if we do this, we're going to be handling each case and returning the corresponding string. So for Jan, we're going to return January. For Feb, we're going to be returning February, and all the way to December, where we could potentially return December. Now we are just going all the way to October because this is just an example, but we're going to see the full example when we hit Visual Studio Code in a minute. This function as is going to work. But the problem here is that we are really repeating month and month and month and month and month here. And many people don't really like this. C++20 has come up with a way to improve on this. We can change our function a little bit and be like this. We can go in our switch statement here and say using enum month. Once we do that, the compiler is going to know that when we do Jan, Feb, Mar, and whatever we do here, we are really referring to month : month. And the compiler is going to fill that in for us without us having to type month 1,000 times if our month type had that many enumerators. Hopefully you can see how this can make your code simpler. And if you need this, you can use this. I am just trying to make you aware of this possibility. Let's head over to Visual Studio Code and actually play with us. Okay, here we are in our working folder. The current project is using enum. We are going to grab our template files pretty quick. We're going to put them in place. And we are going to open this guy in Visual Studio Code. Let's do that. We're going to open folder. We're going to choose using enum. And we're going to open this. Now we can go outside our main function here and declare our enum class, which is going to be the month type here. It is what we have done in the last lecture, nothing new here. We can include our string view class because we're going to use it in a minute. And we are going to declare our function, which is going to transform from a month type to a string type so that we can print our month very easily. We're going to set up a function. The return type is going to be std string view. And we can go inside and put in our different cases. So if the month is January, we want to print January. So that's what we're going to return. And you notice that this guy is a string literal. It's going to be expanded into a const char array. And this const char array is going to be viewed by the string view here. You notice that we are going all the way to October because I was lazy to type all these things out. But we can do that. Let's go down and say case. And if our month doesn't match any of these enumerators, we're going to return none just to play it safe here. But we can't have this case because we can't use any other enumerator. Let's leave our function like this, and if we use it now, we can print our enumerators. Let's go in our main function. We're going to go in and set up a month type, and let's say July, for example. This is our favorite month. Okay, once we have this declared and initialized, we can print this out now, and we can say month is, and we're going to say month to string, and we're going to pass in our month here. And once we do that, we're going to say stdendl to move to the next line. And we should use lowercase for our month here to have our variable name. Once we do this, you see that Visual Studio Code is happy. This is valid C++ code. And we can try and build this. We're going to bring up a terminal. Let's build this. The build is going to be good. We can clear. And if we run roster, now we're going to see month is July. How cool is this? This is much better than what we were doing in the last lecture where we had to cast this to an integral type. I think we should say the full names for the months. So let's not be lazy and say August, September, and for example, put in Feb and bold again. We should have February printed out. How cool is this? I like this. So we're going to say rooster and we're going to have February, and our function is really working fine. But notice that we are really repeating month 1,000 times here, and some people don't like this. I certainly don't like this. And in C++20, we have a better way to do this. I am going to comment this out and show you a better way to do this using the using keyword. We're going to comment all this out, and we're going to go down and actually copy our code here. Let's copy all this because we're going to reuse this. And now we are going to say using enum month. We're going to put a semicolon here, and we're going to paste in our cases down below. Once we do that, we don't have to put in this colon month. We can delete these guys. We're going to delete them one by one. We can take them out. And now that we have this, you see that we have a lot of squiggly lines. Why is that? If we go to the problems tab, you're going to see that we have a lot of errors, and it is saying identifier John is undefined. The reason is GCC 10 doesn't support this yet. If we change our compiler to another compiler and use that to build, you're going to see that this is going to go through. We have the luxury of using the compiler from Microsoft, the latest I could get my hands on. So we're going to try and use this. If we build, let's not choose GCC now, we're going to choose MSVC. Let's try and do that. You're going to see that the build is going to go through successfully, and this is really cool. We can clear and run rooster. You're going to see that it is going to work exactly like it should. If we go down and change our month to April, for example, let's use APR for April here, and we try to build with MSVC. Again, the build is going to be good. We can clear and run rooster, and we're going to have April printed out. So this is a feature of C++20, but it doesn't work yet in GCC 10. Here is a simple slide I came up with to try and really guide you on which compilers support using enum. GCC 10 doesn't. GCC 11 supports this, and MSVC supports this, as we just saw in a minute. But if you want to try this with GCC 11, there is an online compilers we can use at the time of recording this video. In the future, GCC 11 is going to be released, so you're going to be able to use this feature. But if for some reason you are using GCC 10 like me, this is how you can try this using an online compiler. We're going to use Wandbox. So here I am at wandbox.org, and you're going to see that the compiler that is currently selected is GCC 11. It is an unreleased version of GCC at the time of recording this video. Let's try and bring this down a little bit so that we can select this. If you want, you can select different compilers, but we're just going to use GCC 11 because it supports the feature of using enum. So we're going to clear all the code that we have in here, and we're going to paste in the code we had in Visual Studio Code in a minute. You see, it is exactly the same thing. We have the previous code printed out, and we are saying using enum month, and we are putting in exactly the code we had in there. If you look in main, our month is April, and we are printing the month out using our function here, month to string. Let's try and build and run this. We're going to click on this run button and wait for this to build and run. You're going to see that it is going to work. Month is April. If we change the month to August, for example, and run this, you're going to see that it is working exactly the same. So we can't really try this with GCC here, but you have seen that this works on a couple of compilers. And if you are watching this course in the future, this is going to work because you will be using a better version of GCC than what I have now. This is really all we set out to do in this lecture, showing you that you can use this feature using enum to simplify your code and not type month 1,000 times. This is going to simplify your code, and if it helps you out, do use this feature and really take advantage of it. We are going to stop here in this lecture. In the next one, we're going to learn about legacy enumerated types. Go ahead and finish up here and meet me there.